Hi there. Welcome to episode 216 of Fresh Air at 5 called Full Engagement in Learning. Well, this week takes me to Squamish, British Columbia for the MyPETA Spring Conference that was held on Friday, May 9th. I am up here for a couple days. I do some other reflecting and walking in the mornings in my neighborhood. So without further ado, you can catch up on all that has happened. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you. Appreciate you listening. Share this with another. Subscribe. And yeah, that's all. Thanks.
This is Robin Wilson, host of The Education Connection, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Each show on the network is independently owned, and the views expressed may not represent those of other podcasts. For the best education podcast, visit edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwee First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video, which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey PLN, it is Monday, May 5, 2025. Good morning to you, plus 5 degrees Celsius, clear sky. The light is coming up in the east, and it is earlier than 5 a.m. because I got up early, and I've got a lot to do this week. All right, it's wrapping up yearbook, and I have a ways to go. My students did great in my NYC, the newsletter yearbook club, and they did well this past while as we jumped in and got going early, but we are just on the last minute things. And as any big project like this for publication, there's a lot of last minute things. Yes, there's that. There's marking. And at the end of the week, I'm going to be in Squamish, British Columbia with MyPETA for our spring conference. It's springtime. And we're having a conference in Squamish for teachers from around the province. So looking forward to that opportunity. All right, this morning I listened to episode 123 of the Educational Duct Tape Podcast with Jake Miller, as Jake brings us an episode entitled Think Big, Start Small, and Scale Fast with the Eisenhower Matrix. And thanks, Jake, for your thoughts, your soapbox moment as you shared on this solo episode. It was fascinating to listen to you talk about teaching your son to drive. And as parents, when we have that moment that we got to get in the vehicle with our novice or very brand new driver, and we have to go through all the things that we know how to do, it's rather daunting and scary. And but we got to start very small. We got to think about the big picture, about them being roadworthy on their own so that they can go do it. Whereas, we can't just get at it all together. The Eisenhower Matrix talks about the importance of things that are important and things that are urgent, and the matrix that comes out of that, a 2x2 matrix, where things are important and urgent, or they're urgent but not important, etc., etc. So yes, fantastic. All right, I'll be right back. Hang on. One more thing for May 5, 2025. Continuing my thoughts on episode 123 of the Educational Duct Tape Podcast with Jake Miller. Yes, Jake, the importance matrix, the Eisenhower Matrix about importance and urgency. When we start things like getting our kids to learn to drive, and them not thinking it's urgent or important at the beginning because, well, frankly, it's quite scary, but it is important. And as we leave it to getting close to that driver's test where they have to go do their test, it is, becomes a very urgent. Kind of like graduation, kind of like school. So that's where I'm in things at school, that there's lots of important things going on with my students, and they are becoming rather urgent, which makes them almost frantic at moments. All right, so think big, start small, and scale fast is a way to approach tech integration, a way to approach a lot of things we do in our life. Listen to Jake talk. He does a better job than I do here. All right, moving through this, he's got Google update for Google Classroom. He's got, so I'm not a Google Classroom guy anymore, so I didn't really listen, Jake. I'm sorry. Then he's got a Snorkel update with a interactive coach that's built into Snorkel. So when you use that for work with your students, they can have a side-by-side coach to help them think about the problems that they're working on, but not give them the answer and still expect them to finish it up at the end. And he talked about School AI's Video Explorer, where it makes the video kind of more engaging as far as pauses to ask questions about your learning goals. Edpuzzle would do that and ask them questions to see if they're engaged, but it wasn't things that you could edit. Whereas this, you put your specific learning goals, and the School AI will look at the video for those specific things. All right, that's all I've got for right now. I'm going to listen to one more podcast before I get home, and then it's heads down, working hard for the next 3 days before I go to Squamish. Okay, bye. The last thing for May 5, 2025. This morning I listened to Teach Happier, one of my favorite weekly podcasts, because of the practical nature that Suzanne provides for us about thinking about our mental health and well-being, not by being navel-gazing, but with some strategies to help. So thank you, Suzanne, so much for your continued work. As we jump into an unofficial book study this week on this summer on Teach Happier, about the book 5 Types of Wealth with Sahil Bloom, you are walking through us, just giving us an introduction and a prequel, if I would say, about the book and about your journey through the book. It's pretty awesome that you met the author, Sahil Bloom, and you had a picture with him and are connected to the author, because that just enhances our connection with these things that we already deem important at moments, and helps us carry on thinking about them in a very optimistic way. All right, this episode, 2 ideas to try from Time Wealth. And you talk about 2 things that you saw in here. One is about the energy calendar, red, green, and yellow on your calendar, highlighting things that take energy, get neutral to energy, and green that give us energy, and to see how it maps out. There's way more here, so that's why we need to get the book to read all the details. You talk about it here in your podcast, so that's even more. So take a listen. And the other idea about Time Wealth that you talked about was, hang on, it's coming to me. It is coming to me. Oh yes, what good will you do today? That question at the beginning of the day, to frame our mindsets about looking for the good in our day, regardless how ungood they might seem. We can find it and mind for it, and then what good have you done at the end of the day to reflect on. Thanks all. Have a fabulous day. Take a listen to this episode. Bye. Hey, PLN, it's May 6, 2025. 8 degrees Celsius this morning. Beautiful clear sky. The sun is coming up behind me. All right, this morning I listened to Smile Factor, Season 2, Episode 29, with Lori Guion and Matthew Joseph, as they talk about new book that Matthew has written, a children's book called Digital Explorers. And they talk about the content of the book and how this book is about digital wellness and digital citizenship, and how can fictional characters navigate situations and learn. And so it's a fiction book, but it's based on the reality that we live in our world today, with the need to be safe citizens online and wary users of the internet and critical thinkers. And so this book is a great thing to start off a conversation of digital citizenship in a classroom with youngers. I don't know the level that it goes down to. You can go to Matthew X. Joseph's website and publishing company and take a look at his book for yourself. Listen to this episode, be inspired, and it's exciting to hear that others are coming forward and putting together work as well that will be published in a group of books for children about different things that we see in our spaces as adults that they need to be aware of. All right. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Matthew. And I appreciate the work you're doing. Keep on smiling. This guy over here is. And excited about continuing to learn and share with each other. All right. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. Talk to you soon. One more thing for May 6, 2025. It was a privilege a couple weeks ago to be asked to talk with a friend of mine from Wisconsin on his podcast, his very first interview podcast, and we sat down on a Sunday morning. All right, it's episode 52 of Why Edify with Jeremy Jorgensen, entitled Consistency Over Intensity, and an interview with me and him talking about the need for putting in the work and doing the work. And there is times for intensity, but consistency will win more often than not. Looking at the hare and the tortoise story, and the arrogance of the hare and the humbleness of the tortoise, and just plodding along that way. Jeremy and I have a fun conversation. So as this is his first interview, he was learning about podcasting, and I decided I would help him out, and we've had some chats off air. You're not going to hear those, but we talked about my process for podcasting here on Fresh Air 5 and his process that he's going to do. He's joined the Educational Podcast Network, which is a group of podcasters that meet together to talk about our craft and the different ways that we do our work, founded by Chris Nessie. So thank you, Chris, for having Jeremy be part of our network. So exciting to work with Jeremy. All right, I talk about AI in schools. I talk about creativity, and we talk about the need for, being who you are, and not the perfectness of our job, but the wellness of it and the excellence that we put in and the passion. All right, thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it, and congratulations on dropping episode 52 of Why Edify. He has other podcasts that he's recorded in the past, but this is his first interview podcast. All right, take care. The last thing for May 6, 2025, X Factor, Level Up Your Mental Game, episode 79 with Brian Martin, has Brian talking to us about the most powerful voice that we will hear. And what's that powerful voice that we will hear? We're surrounded by voices all the time talking with us. Do we put ourselves in spaces that is positive, or is it negative? How is our coach interacting with us as we go to practice? Are they a positive force or a negative force? We aren't to lie to ourselves, but the most powerful voice that we will hear is the one that we are speaking to ourselves. What we believe about ourselves is what we will become. So if we believe that we can't do it, then likely we won't be able to do it as well as we can. We have to believe that we got this. We believe, not that, then there's a balance between being toxically positive, to use a recent term, compared to the reality of maybe we're not there yet, but it's about encouraging words that we say to ourselves as opposed to discouraging words. Walking in going, I've got this. I can do this. I can be a leader. I can show up and support my team. I can do good today, as opposed to, I don't know what I got. And, that May attitude and, oh, yeah, here we go again. Here we go again. It's another opportunity to shine. Another opportunity to show up and make a difference. I talk to myself positively on a regular basis because some of the things that I do, with my podcast and with my professional learning are hard things to do. But when we talk to ourselves positively, we can do things more than we thought. Yes, there are outside influences, but the most powerful voice is the one that we have to share with ourselves. Okay, thanks, Brian. Cheers. Have a fab day. I will. Bye. Good morning, PLN. It's May 8, 2025, out for Fresh Air at 5 on this, our 26th wedding anniversary. My wife, Wendy, and I are celebrating 26 years today of being married, and it's so fun and joyful that we can do this. And she's not with me. She's sleeping, and I am out walking, but later today we're headed out to a conference and going to enjoy the weekend away together. So that's going to be great. As we go through our day here, I need to be reminded of the need for having importance and sleep. Good, blah, 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 blah. Okay, having a good sleep. Now, on episode 134 of Evolving with Gratitude, Lainey brings us the Bold Gratitude Sleep Hack. And Lainey, I don't have a problem going to sleep, so I go to sleep. But this is a great idea for infusing gratitude into our sleeping practice. And there's research that you share here to back up the fact that having an approach to sleep with gratitude can improve our overall well-being, improve our sleep, and set us up for the next day. You talk about focused attention and positive emotion as a way of settling us as we go to sleep. There's that thing about counting sheep, and this is sort of like that, but it is focused and more intentional than just counting numbers. You talk about the alphabet gratitude practice where you start at the letter A and name something that you're grateful for, like autumn, you say, or B, books that you've read, or C, camping, and I enjoy camping, and D, I don't know, and just the work, going through the work of the alphabet to slow us down just enough, a focus that we can stay focused, but not too much that it's overstimulating. The other one has to do with a word, an acronym that is a positive word, and working through that in the same manner. Thanks, Lainey. Have a good day. We'll talk to you guys. Bye. The last thing for May 8, 2025, I listened to episode 342 of the Empowering Educators podcast with Gretchen Bridger, as she brings us an episode as part of a mini leadership podcast series called Achieving Growth Through Peer Collaboration. And the need for collaboration is so around us. And as a teacher, I value the collaborative nature of my relationships with my colleagues. There's things we talk about educationally, but there's things about life as well. And it's about the connections that we make, and deep connections that allows us to trust the other person. That's so important. Gretchen talks about the formal PLC collaboration model, talks about the learning walks or learning logs, that when you make arrangements to go do observations in a teacher's classroom, and then you reflect and you share your thoughts in a non-judgmental way with the teacher that you observed, and they do the same back to you. That can be helpful. And she said the most important one to her actually is the informal collaborative chats that you have over the water cooler, in the lunchroom, walking down the hall, on the playground with another teacher and colleague, and asking questions of their practice and sharing from your practice and growing because we care about each other and we have stuff to offer. This last one is huge. This is my favorite way of doing it. And I learned a lot from my colleagues because I find out what their strengths are and I know what my needs are. Yes, Gretchen does a great job in this episode of talking through strategies on how to grow your peer collaboration practice. So don't not listen to this. Take a listen, because you know what? We can all grow. We all have room to growth. And as we want our students to grow, we should be growing as well to be better educators. All right. Thank you, Gretchen. Appreciate it. Bye. Good morning, May 9, 2025. It's Friday, and happy Friday to you. You made it. I'm out here in Squamish, British Columbia at our MyPETA conference, fall conference, spring conference. It's springtime, not fall. And our crew is putting on a conference with the Math Teachers Association today at the Chikamis Educational Learning Center, which is north of where I am right now by about 10 minutes. And I got out for my walk this morning in this beautiful place. I just walked on the street. I didn't have the time to go walk in the forest, but the mountains, they're all around me. In the back there, you can see the mountains past the hotel, and there's snow-capped mountains around right now because it's still springtime. It hasn't fully melted up high. Like up there, look at that, isn't that beautiful? Fantastic. All right, so this morning I listened to the Creative Classroom with John Spencer, and John brings us an episode called Why Deeper Learning Matters in the Age of AI. And he has a new book out called The Deeper Learning Advantage. And I really appreciate what he has to say about us readying our students for the future, where the future is going to be changing so very fast. So how do we do that? Do we teach them how to use chatbots and do AI prompting? We should do some of those things. He said, yes, we should do some of those things, but is that going to sustain them for this world that they are walking into? No, they need to have core competencies at hand, such as curiosity, mastery, focus, sustained focus, so that they can focus in this distracted world as they go through and everything is coming at them so very fast. There are the 4 C's in there, the creativity, communication, critical thinking, and collaboration. So important that we have those things, and those aren't going to go away. You need to take a listen to this episode that came out recently from the Creative Classroom so you can hear what John has to say. I agree, and how do we do that? We do it slowly, meticulously, and we challenge our students with things that are actually hard, not things they can look up or that AI can easily make for them, but why are they important? All right, have a fabulous Friday. See ya, bye.
I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get some fresh air before the day is out and take care of yourself because you are worth it.